What if the biggest threat to your corn crop isn't drought, fertilizer prices, or even insects? Sometimes, a disease can begin spreading across a field before you realize there's a serious problem. One small change in the leaves can become a much bigger yield loss later in the season. But here's what makes this dangerous: many corn diseases don't wait until harvest to show their full impact. So, how can American farmers recognize the warning signs early, protect their corn, and avoid unnecessary yield losses? In this video, we'll walk through the most important disease prevention strategies, from field management and crop rotation to resistant hybrids, scouting, and the right timing for action. And stay until the end, because we'll put everything together into a simple prevention strategy you can use to give your corn crop a better chance of reaching harvest at its full potential. Corn is one of the most important crops in American agriculture, but producing a strong harvest isn't only about planting the right hybrid or applying enough fertilizer. Disease management can make a major difference. Corn can be affected by several fungal and bacterial diseases, including northern corn leaf blight, gray leaf spot, southern rust, common rust, stalk diseases, and ear and kernel rots. The challenge is that disease pressure can change from one season to another. Weather, humidity, crop residue, planting density, hybrid selection, and field history can all influence how quickly a disease develops. That's why prevention should begin before you see serious symptoms. The first step is regular scouting. Don't wait until the crop looks severely damaged. Walk through your fields and inspect plants at different growth stages. Look closely at the lower and upper leaves, especially when weather conditions are warm and humid. Watch for unusual spots, lesions, discoloration, premature leaf death, or changes in stalk strength. Early detection gives farmers more time to determine what is happening and decide whether action is necessary. The second strategy is crop rotation. Planting corn in the same field year after year can increase the amount of disease-causing organisms that survive in crop residue. Rotating corn with crops such as soybeans can help break some disease cycles and reduce the amount of infected residue available for future infections. Rotation isn't a magic solution for every disease, but it can be an important part of an overall disease management program. The third strategy is choosing the right hybrid. Not every corn hybrid has the same level of resistance to every disease. When selecting seed, farmers should consider the disease history of the field and the diseases commonly found in their region. A hybrid with strong resistance to a disease that frequently appears in your area can provide an important layer of protection. But genetics alone aren't enough. Field conditions also matter. Dense crop canopies can create a humid environment that favors certain diseases. That's why proper plant population and field management are important. Farmers should follow recommended planting populations for their hybrid, environment, and production system rather than simply trying to maximize the number of plants per acre. Another important factor is crop residue management. Many disease-causing organisms can survive on infected residue left in the field. Depending on the disease and farming system, practices such as crop rotation and appropriate residue management can reduce the amount of disease pressure carried into the next season. Now let's talk about one of the biggest mistakes farmers can make: waiting too long to react. When disease symptoms appear, the right response depends on the disease, crop growth stage, weather conditions, and expected yield potential. That's why identifying the disease correctly is critical. A leaf spot doesn't automatically mean the same disease. And treating the wrong problem can waste money without solving the real issue. This is where local extension services, crop advisors, diagnostic laboratories, and university agriculture programs can be extremely valuable. Farmers should use reliable identification before making major management decisions. Fungicides can also play a role, but timing is critical. A fungicide isn't a replacement for resistant genetics, rotation, scouting, or good field management. And spraying simply because a disease exists somewhere nearby isn't always the best economic decision. The goal is to protect yield when the expected benefit justifies the cost. Farmers should follow product labels, local recommendations, resistance management guidance, and applicable regulations. Another major factor is weather. Disease outbreaks often become more likely when environmental conditions favor the pathogen. Extended periods of leaf wetness, humidity, rainfall, and suitable temperatures can increase disease development. That means weather monitoring can help farmers know when to increase scouting. Instead of checking the field only once, farmers can pay closer attention when conditions become favorable for disease. And here's another important point: plant health starts before disease appears. Balanced fertility, proper planting depth, good drainage, appropriate irrigation, and reduced crop stress can help create stronger growing conditions. However, more fertilizer does not automatically mean healthier corn. Applying nutrients without knowing what the crop actually needs can waste money and may create other problems. Soil testing and crop-specific nutrient management are much better approaches. The same principle applies to irrigation. Too much moisture can create conditions favorable to some diseases, while drought stress can weaken plants and reduce yield. Good water management is about giving the crop what it needs without creating unnecessary stress. Now, let's bring all of these strategies together. Imagine you're preparing a corn field for the next season. First, you review the field's disease history. Second, you select a hybrid with appropriate resistance. Third, you consider crop rotation and residue management. Fourth, you establish the crop using an appropriate planting population. Then, during the growing season, you scout regularly. You monitor weather conditions. You identify symptoms early. And if disease pressure reaches a level where treatment makes economic sense, you act at the appropriate time using an approved product and following the label. That approach is much stronger than waiting until half the field is already damaged. Because the real goal isn't simply to kill a disease after it appears. The goal is to prevent disease pressure from becoming a major yield problem in the first place. And that's the result farmers are really looking for: a healthier plants, better protection of the crop's productive leaves and stalks, and a stronger chance of bringing more grain to harvest. There is no single product or technique that guarantees a disease-free corn crop. But combining resistant hybrids, crop rotation, field scouting, weather awareness, balanced crop management, accurate disease identification, and timely intervention can create a much stronger defense. So before the next corn season begins, don't ask only, "What should I spray?" Ask a better question. What can I do before disease becomes a problem? That change in mindset can make disease management more efficient and can help protect the yield potential you worked all season to build. And remember, always base disease management decisions on your local conditions and current recommendations from trusted agricultural experts and your local extension service.